Hi, I'm Omar Din from the Din Real Estate Group,
I'm Tom Cassidy, also of the Din Real Estate Group.
and we're two realtors that are frankly tired of realtors talking about real estate. So today, in our segment of Coffee and Clocks, we're going to be enjoying some good coffee while we're talking about clocks and watches.
So, Omar, what's the first watch we're going to talk about today? I know this one has a sentimental story for you, from what you've told me. So let's talk about this one for a little bit. What is it, and how did you acquire this piece?
All right, so this one here is a Tag Heuer Formula One. This is the first luxury brand watch that I purchased. So when I purchased this one, I was still working as a personal trainer. We're coming off a little bit of recession in the economy. And I was dating my now wife, Laura, at the time. And, we were getting pretty serious. And I knew that I was going to propose to her, and we had talked about getting married. One other thing that's important to mention is there's a lot of practical joking and toying with emotions in our relationship, and I promised her that that was going to be a large component in the proposal to her. So one day I decided to let her get excited. I took her to a jewelry store. That's where I buy most of my watches, at J. Roberts in Marlton, New Jersey. And when I went in there, I was speaking to one of the salesmen there, and I pulled him aside and I said, look, buddy, see that pretty blonde over there? I'm going to be proposing to her. So what I'm doing is I'm going to buy a watch today to throw her off the scent, and tomorrow I'm going to come in and I'm going to buy an engagement ring for her. So I need to know that you're going to take good care of me on both these pieces here. And he says, I got you. So we're looking, she's getting all excited, trying on rings, and I'm looking at watches, trying watches on. And finally, I selected this one that you see today.
Now, what drew you to this one? Like, what's some of the features on the watch that you really like?
The aesthetics were initially what drew me over. I knew what price I needed to keep it in, and the salesman highly suggested this particular brand as far as getting a lot of watch for your dollar. What I liked specifically on this one is that it's not overly flashy. There's a lot of machined components to it, a little bit of polished metals on it, and you've got the ceramic inlay, and I just thought it was very eye-catching. On the face, one of the things I loved is I love subdials and chronographs on watches. To me, it's just it's striking.
Was that always the case, or is this something that you, as you grew older, you kind of grew into the watch? Like, as your watch game started and your watch collection evolved?
So my very first watch that I ever owned when I was actually a little kid happened to be a Swiss watch.
Really?
Want to take a guess what it was?
What is it?
Good old Swatch.
Swatch watch.
So I didn't even realize that I was going to be a watch connoisseur when I was at the age of 7. So, at any rate, so I buy the watch and I see the heartbreak in my soon-to-be fiance's face. Being a man of my word, I came back the next day and I did, spend a better part of the day there picking out the perfect engagement ring for her.
She was with you?
No.
Okay.
She was not with me. So she had no idea that I went back. And she, was partially crushed because at the time we really didn't have a whole lot of money between the two of us, but I've always been an avid saver. And I made sure that I had enough set aside to pull off the first of what would be a lifetime of pranks between the two of us.
So tell me a little bit about this next watch here, Omar. It looks like it's a Belova. It's a vintage, and it looks interesting. So tell me a little bit about this piece.
So to me, this is the most valuable piece in my collection.
Money wise, or is this like sentimental wise?
Sentimental.
Okay.
And to be honest with you, I have no idea what the monetary value is of this watch, but it's something that could never be replaced. So prior to being in real estate, I was a personal trainer, and I worked with a lot of persons that had health issues, and that seemed to be my forte. So I had this one client who was like the grandfather that I never had.
Okay.
His name was Stu. He was 50 years older than me to the day. We actually had the exact same birthday, 50 years apart. And
you were training him.
I was training him. Now,
Okay.
Stu had a condition Unfortunately, it was something that happened to him that gave him permanent paralysis, breathing problems. So this was a guy who he rode motorcycles, he drove race cars. You know, he was in World War II, and this man had an active, incredible life, has a massive family, and just I mean, I can't say enough good things about the guy. So this became more of a friendship with Stu. You know, we would work out together, you know, twice a week.
He still paid you though, right?
He did.
Okay.
And but yeah, it was he was getting stronger and, you know, eliminating pains out of his life. So he knew I was really into watches, and one day he comes in, and, you know, he's confined to a walker. You know, typically had to have an oxygen tank on him at all times, and he says to me, he says, "Omar, put out your hand." So I'm like, I put my hand out, and in my hand drops this watch. So this watch is the watch that his father-in-law gave to him as a gift for, you know, marrying his daughter. So the approximate age of this watch, you know, based on the story, the timeline, this would put this as being roughly like late 40s, early 50s. And this man Stu wore this, you know, for decades. And you know, unfortunately, the story has kind of a sad ending. So I was on vacation one day. I was out of the country, and I get a text message from a friend of mine that also happened to know Stu. Sends me a text message that Stu just passed away of a what I believe to be a massive heart attack. So I'm not like a real overly emotional person. Not that I'm cold-hearted either, but
I've been fooled before.
So I sobbed, and you know, so the way the story goes, he gave me his you know, his watch that he wore for a lifetime, like 30 days before he passed away, and so this you know, it's an unreplaceable watch, and I happen to have other Belovas in my collection too, which I love, and it still works. It still keeps perfect, accurate time till this day, and that's why this is my most cherished piece.
I think that's one of the coolest things about like the watch collector, because me and you both love watches and like all different types, like cheap, expensive, it doesn't matter. There's always a story that goes behind it.
Right.
I think one of the coolest things is that like time is something that's constantly moving, and like you're wearing a piece right now, continuing, you know, his legacy.
Yeah.
Going forward. So it's cool because if the watch could talk, imagine the stories that it could say.
Oh, it would be unbelievable. And you know what? I got the opportunity to learn a lot of the stories with my time with Stu before he passed.
Now, do you get to wear this a lot, or is this something that you kind of keep in your collection just for your own personal?
You know, I'm protective of it. It's seen some things. It's been around the world, and it's you know, its final caretaker is yours truly.
So let's talk about this next one. It looks like you you got the Breitling in there. Let's talk about this one a little bit.
All right. So this one here, this one doesn't have quite as emotional of a story, but it's certainly one that I'm proud of. This is probably one of my more gaudy watches, and you know, so as everybody knows, I am a real estate agent, and in case you forgot,
do you have a truck by any chance?
You know, I wish I. You know what I do?
Oh, I wish we had a picture of that.
So I've been a real estate agent since 2016, and in those couple of years, I've had quite a ride here. You know, I have always been a hard worker, and you know, my wife would tell you that I probably spend a little too much time working, and so would everybody at the office.
15 hours a day is barely even scratching the surface.
You know, first one in,
half days.
Yeah, first one in, last one to leave. I don't know. It is what it is. It's my poison. What can I tell you?
In our office, you're the only one in.
This is true. They pay the rent just for me. So in 2019, you know, the last full year before COVID happened, I ended up finishing number 8 in the state of New Jersey for all of the RE/MAX agents, and number 22 in the state of New Jersey out of all the real estate agents, you know, statewide. So I finally decided, you know what? I've worked hard enough. I'm going to go out and, you know, buy something nice for myself to celebrate.
You're getting a show-off piece.
You know, it's
or a trophy style piece.
Yeah, that's wrist candy,
Oh.
so to speak. So, you know, one could look at it as, okay, it's just a, you know, a gaudy, loud watch, and to me, it's like, you know what, it's you've worked hard enough. It's time that you just enjoy some of that instead of just being work.
Splurge a little bit.
And that's it. And, you know, I love the watch. I get a lot of compliments on it. But, you know, it's just a reminder of, you know, life shouldn't be about nothing but work. You do need to sit back and sometimes enjoy the fruits of your labor.
Tell me a little about the features on this one. So I see it's another chrono. So
Yes,
you've been sold on the chronos.
I love my chronos, and even Stu left me with one sub dial on the Belova. It's like,
It was meant to be.
yeah, 50 years ago, he just
That was the
he
first
just
chrono.
he just knew. It really is. It's my oldest watch. It's my only true vintage watch too. But yeah, so this one here has the factory Breitling mother of pearl dial. There's factory diamond Breitling markers on it. It does have a tachometer if you want to clock lap times at the racetrack, and also does have the factory diamond Breitling bezel. It's a 100% stock watch, and
I love it. It's got a dome crystal on it too. So like the light play off the window right now it looks great.
yeah, it's nice. It shines.
Well, Omar, I really, really appreciate you sitting down with us. I know that you usually do this on the other side of the table, but it's nice to hear a little bit of the stories that you have behind the pieces and letting us in a little bit on your the personal story. So we truly appreciate you sharing.
Today we just thought it would be a great idea to get to know the hosts of Coffee and Clocks. Um, and with that being said, we hope you enjoyed.
Cheers. I think you stole my mug. I think we should have switched mugs.
Are you made in Pakistan with American parts?
Made in America with Pakistani.
Even worse.